Poets love to play with words. They take their readers through their poetry where humans cannot go. They make the flowers sing. They make the stones speak, and they even bring the angels down on the earth. And to create such type of imagination in the minds of the readers, they make use of figures of speech. Welcome to the world of figures of speech, part 2. As we know that the list of figures of speech is inexhaustible, and to eliminate any likelihood of confusion, we have split these figures of speech into different categories. In part 1, we have already covered with figures of repetition and sound effects and figures of resemblance and relationship. And in part 2, we are switching on to the category number 3, that is figures of contrast. And under this umbrella, we have antithesis, paradox, oxymoron, pun and irony. How about studying antithesis, oxymoron and your paradox together, because they have some similarities in them. The first one is antithesis. Antithesis is contrasting ideas. Let's understand it through an example. It's better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven. Now, reign in hell and serve in heaven, two contrasting ideas present in two independent clauses of this statement. So this is antithesis. Here's another example from Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens. It was the best of time, it was the worst of times. So again, two contrasting ideas present in two independent clauses of this particular statement. So this is what is called as antithesis. Let us go to paradox. Paradox is contrasting situations present in the statement. For example, in communication, less is more. Now in this line, you have less also and more also, two contrasting words, self-contradictory statement. But it is actually revealing the truth. It's the need of the hour. Communication has to be clear, crisp and precise. So in communication, less is more is the example for paradox. Another example from Shakespeare's Hamlet. I have to be cruel to be kind. So in this statement, actually Hamlet is telling his mother. So there's a hidden secret in this, that how he has to be cruel, to be kind to some. Now we come to oxymoron. In this figures of speech, the contrasting words are placed side by side. Example number 1. It's a pretty ugly fight. Example number 2. Oh, that was an awfully good restaurant. Pretty, ugly, contrasting words placed side by side. Awfully good, again contrasting words side by side. So here, actually you don't have to take the literal meaning. You have to take the figurative interpretation, which is the awfully and pretty are actually acting as adverbs. So some writers and some poets, they just do not want to be very, very obvious. They want to go out of the box to describe things. So this is oxymoron, contrasting words side by side. So we studied the three together, that is antithesis, paradox and oxymoron, because all three of them had contrasting words in them. And the difference among them is that antithesis has contrasting ideas, paradox, contrasting situation, whereas oxymoron, contrasting words placed side by side in the form of a phrase. Now the remaining two, that is pun and irony. So pun is a play on words in which humorous effect is produced by using similar sounding words but different meaning. Here's the example. I was struggling to figure out how lightning works but then it struck me. So lightning and strike, these are associated terms, because when during thunderstorm you see how lightning strikes. But here this struck, the past tense of strike, is used in a different meaning. That yes, it struck me. It occurred to me or came to my mind. So humor is created. Another funny example is there. The maths book looks sad because it has too many problems. So this is again, humor is created and this is fun. Irony is a contrast between what is expected and what actually happens or exists, or what is said is the opposite of what it means. Here's the example. The traffic police caught Rohit for not following the traffic rules or exceeding the speed limit just next to the signpost which read, "Thank you for driving safely and following the rules." So this is situational irony. What was expected, what the signpost said, and what you did. This is situational irony. Another example, you are not dressed according to the occasion, and your friend tells you that, "Oh, you are dressed so beautifully." So this is verbal irony, where what your friend is saying actually is trying to mock or something, which is not a good idea. So this is verbal irony. Finished with the third category, which was figures of contrast. Moving on to the fourth and the final category, figures of emphasis. And this has only two, that is hyperbole and litotes. Now hyperbole is nothing but exaggeration. And this exaggeration is done to produce emphasis and sometimes humor also. For example, "I have tried this puzzle 1,000 times. So actually you have not done it those many times, 1,000 times, but you have done it many times. So a figurative way to say. Second example, "It's too hot, I'm sweating buckets." This is also exaggeration. That means you are sweating too much, but figurative way to say that. And this is nothing but hyperbole. And poets, they use hyperbole because they want to take the readers to the world of boundless imagination. Moving on to the next one, the last one, that is litotes. In this, negative statement is made to affirm a positive statement. So we can simplify it by saying that a point is made by saying that something is not something. So to better understand this, let us take one example. "She was not unhappy with your performance." So here we have used two negative words, not unhappy. So instead of just saying that she is happy with your performance, we have used not unhappy. So going a little offbeat. The second example is, "The maths test was not tough." So again here, instead of saying the maths test was easy, you're saying it was not tough. So going again a little offbeat. So this is just to create another style of writing. That is it. So this was our last figure of speech, and with this we come to the end of our part 2. I hope this lesson is clear to you all, students, and now it's time for you to practice. And mostly the questions that are asked in your exams are like identify the figure of speech or determine the figure of speech, and sometimes they ask just explain the metaphor used in the following line. And if such a question is asked, then always write the two words which are compared and what are the two qualities which is common in them, which makes it comparative, and this way you can write. And definitions are rarely asked, and if asked, then this is a language subject. So it's not a science. So you can frame your own definition, means you can write it in your own words, whatever you have understood by that particular figure of speech. If you find this lesson useful, then one way to tell me is give this lesson a thumbs up and subscribe so that you do not miss any of my lessons in future. Thank you for joining. Happy learning.